job, guys. We're doing it.
Oh,
doing the
there,
dance
there.
with the chairs.
Yeah.
It's they're excited to see you.
How you guys doing?
Hi, guys.
Y'all good? All right, everybody. My name's Jake. I will be the moderator this afternoon. I'm thrilled to be here with Melissa and Tyler. Folks, welcome to Salt Lake City.
Thank you.
So happy to be here.
Melissa, I understand this is your first convention in quite some time.
Yeah, I think the last time I did a convention was, it was pre-pandemic, so it feels like a lifetime ago. 2018, 2019. I'm so happy to be back.
Yeah, we're happy that we're your first here. Yeah. So I want to jump in. Tell me how you got involved in Supergirl, and then obviously Superman and Lois spun out of that, but what's the audition process like and things like that?
Do I remember? I had just finished working on Glee. And I was auditioning for everything and anything. And I remember getting the email that said Supergirl and instantly thinking, like, I'm never going to get that. And I believe I was the first person to go in to the actual audition, the very first person they saw. And I think 3 months later is when I got the job. It was pretty rigorous.
Yeah.
I had to do quite a few auditions because I was so green and had never really done anything except for Glee. Lots of camera tests. I had to dye my hair blonde because I was a brunette, and then the rest is history.
There we go. And Tyler, how about you?
Mine was different. I got called in to meet with Greg Berlanti for a general meeting. They didn't tell me what it was for. And about halfway through the meeting, he said, we're going to introduce Superman on Supergirl. Is that something you'd be interested in?
And you were like,
I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, this is not what I thought we were doing, but all right, sweet. So we talked about the character for maybe a half hour or so, and then I left, and like a couple weeks later, my manager called, an agent called and said, hey, they're offering it to you if you want it. And I said, is that seriously happening right now? I was like, okay, yeah, great. So I don't know how it was like the simplest process I'd ever had with a character, but that was it. It's not that exciting.
Yeah, sure.
and then you showed up to play with me, and I think one of my first lines was talking about how I changed your diaper.
I'm pretty sure it was. Yes. I always imagined that if I played Superman, that would be the first thing that we did. Yeah.
That's actually the perfect segue for my next question. Both of your shows were very heavily family focused, and the relationships and how superpowers impacts that. How familiar, first of all, were you with the mythology of Superman and Supergirl and that world? But also, did you get any advice from those who came before? Like Helen Slater played your mother on the show. She also played Clark's mother on Smallville, which is a little bit weird. But did she have any words of advice? Did any of the other previous Superman actors talk to you about it? And again, how familiar were you with just the mythos generally?
I mean, I don't know what your experience has been, but it's a fairly small group of people that have played Kryptonians. And any of them that I have met, it's never like, here's my advice. It's just, I feel like we all kind of carry similar attributes. And like Helen is one of the sweetest, dearest women I've ever met. And I've met Laura Vandervoort, also like just a solid lady. Like anyone I've met who's donned the glyph is kind of just leading by example. And really good humans. So that's sort of what I took from other Supergirls.
Yeah, I think it's also a thing. I know David Cornsweet sent me a really nice note before they started filming, and I sent him a note back, and I think there's a mutual respect, I think, for people who come into this world a little bit. Like, you know that they're there for a reason. And so, if somebody was to ask for advice, I mean, I think with all of us, we're always happy to share any advice if somebody asks, but there's also just a respect for the other actors and people coming into the world that they're already there for a reason. So if anything, it's more just, I wish them luck. I said, hey man, I just enjoy it, have fun. I hope you have a great time. You're there for a reason, so trust that and just have fun. So I think it's more of like, for me, it's always been that. And so when you do meet people, when I've met other people that have played the character, yeah, we have shared experiences, and so like just kind of stories come up. But it's never been like, hey, let me tell you how it's never been like that.
Cool. And had either of you known like the comics history or anything like that? Were you familiar with just Superman and Supergirl generally?
I mean, certainly Superman in general, but I really educated myself on Supergirl when I started auditioning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, who doesn't know Superman? I knew him more as like, I'd see him as like a tattoo on Shaq at the basketball game or something. Like I knew that, but like you grew up with it and you know who he is. And I remember going in for Man of Steel and doing some research before that. So I think there's a built-in familiarity in some way, shape, or form. I think it's hard to not have an idea of who Superman is, kind of anywhere,
Yeah. Melissa, this question's for you. So the show started on CBS, and it was very romantic comedy, not as steeped Arrowverse-ish. And then it made the jump to the CW, and you got in the Arrowverse. Tell me how the process was different, or if anything really changed with the network switch.
I mean, everything changed, really. It's a very different situation shooting in Los Angeles as opposed to Vancouver, simply put. Like that in itself was really different. Getting used to shooting in the rain, but also it changed, I think, for the better, because I just felt great that I got to be a part of the club.
Yeah.
And it only enriched all of the shows whenever we connected. And I don't know how you feel, but the crossovers were my favorite things to shoot. If it looked like we were having fun, it's because we were. It was like a giant sleepover where everyone was in super suits. We were all slap happy and delirious and having so much fun, eating too much candy, me and Grant. So yeah, everything changed, but I really think it was for the best.
That's awesome. And Tyler, tell me about Greg coming to you and saying, we're going to do Superman and Lois, and just kind of how he presented that to you, and because it's not exactly the same universe as Supergirl was. It's a little bit different. So can you frame that for us?
Yeah, I went to meet with Greg just to talk about things that we could do together in the future, and he had mentioned that he thought he could get this greenlit, but that it was going to be taking some people that were probably going to say no and trying to turn those into yeses, and so we did. We went down that road, but we did. We talked about that it would be more of like a Friday Night Lights kind of feel, family show, and so it was just something that to me. This was not a character that I had on my list that I ever thought I was going to play. It was just kind of one that found me, and for some reason it just felt like it kept coming back. And so it felt like one of those things where like there's a reason why it keeps finding you, and so maybe this is a path to go down. And I'm really glad we did. I think it was important to everybody involved. I know Todd Helbing was really really wanted it to be the same thing, more of a family show, Friday Night Lights kind of feel. He'd been involved with the Arrowverse for a long time as well. And so, yeah, it was just an exciting opportunity, I think, to tell a story that hadn't been told with Superman yet. I think, I always liked that we kind of got to tell the kid's origin story as opposed to his, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah. And I will say also that the finales of both of your shows are among the most beautiful representations of both characters that I've ever seen. So.
That's very kind.
But that's enough from me. I know there's a line over there that are real excited, so we'll turn it over to you, and if you just remember the rules that were discussed originally.
Hi, I'm Tyler. It's great to meet both of you. My question's for Melissa. So I was wondering what it was like working on the crossover musical episode and how similar or different that was from working on Glee.
Okay. Glee had the musical numbers down to a science. Like, cameras knew exactly what to cover. We had like a schedule, so each musical number took like 6 hours to shoot by the time I got there. So when we did the musical crossover in the Arrowverse, it was very different because the whole crew had never done like musical numbers before, so it was a lot of like trial by fire, and it was a lot of figuring it out. Where Grant and I were like, guys, we can't keep doing this tap dance. But that being said, it was really, really satisfying because Grant and I never actually we only got to do one number together on Glee, because he was a warbler and I was in the New Directions. So we only had like one little crossover on Glee, and it was really awesome to be able to get to actually do the song and dance with him.
Hello, my name is Trevor, and this question is for both Tyler and Melissa. Is there a story arc on your respective CW shows that felt like it could have been expanded, and how would you have liked to do it?
That's a good question.
Like on our show specifically, or like on any of them?
Specific.
Probably on ours, right? Yeah. Makes more sense. I don't know that I necessarily. I mean, I think in general we probably could have expanded ours a little bit. I think we had more room to run, but things happen the way they happen. But the thing that we didn't get to that I kind of would have liked to have seen would have been like the empty nest thing, where like the kids went off to school and it was just Lois and Clark again. And like, do they stay in Smallville? Do they go back to Metropolis? So that's kind of one that I wish we had kind of maybe gotten to tap into.
I really loved the arc on season 4. What was Sam Witwer's character's name? Agent Liberty. Thank you. I thought that was our strongest season, and I felt like we were tapping into the idea that the Kryptonians are immigrants, and like really, I thought it was a cool statement that we were making. So I also love when it was like really heavy alien stuff. Like it just reminded me it gave me Buffy vibes. And I wanted the show to continue in that direction. I think it would have been really fun to continue doing it that way.
Yeah. Hello, Melissa and Tyler. Thank you for coming to our FanX. It's good to have you with us. Anyway, if there's any place or places in the world you'd love to fly to, where would they be? Kind of a simple, basic question, I hope.
I want to go everywhere.
Yeah.
I'd really like to go to Japan.
All right.
I'm gonna go with you on that. That's like the one that everybody I know who travels a lot always says like that's their favorite place, and I've not been yet. So I think Japan's at the top of my list as well. Yeah.
I'm going to ask a quick follow-up on that, flying related. How was the stunt work on flying on the show? How was that experience?
Flying specifically?
Yeah. Flying specifically. Melissa's excited to answer this question. I can see it on her face.
I just remember there was a story. It was one of the first times I was working with her on wires.
Yeah, it was like your second day.
Yeah, and I think we were having a conversation like 25 feet off the ground, and I had heard them say coming down, and they were testing it, but it wasn't like it was like a drop. Like they were dropping us into the scene and we were testing it. But Melissa was in the middle of telling a story, and so when they did the countdown and dropped, Melissa had no idea what was happening. So I just got like the biggest like granny scream from her. Like it was just a whoo! Like it was yeah, it was exactly that. Mid-story. It was absolutely, yeah.
That also was, so it was Tyler's, this is how much of a Superman he is. It's not comfortable. And we did it for like 13 hours that day.
One day.
And we were both like trying to brave through it, and Tyler's like, no, I'm good. I was like, I need to get down. And this is how you like walk away when you've been in the wires you're like, like you have to waddle. Like, extremities are numb, and but it's so cool. Like there were some stunts I got to do specifically on the wires that I was like, this is pretty baller.
Yeah. Our pilot episode was really fun. Like we did some stuff. It was like, a lot of times we're in like what they call like the tuning fork or something, where you're kind of more locked into like the positions you can go into. But every once in a while we'd just be on the wires with like a hip harness, and so you could do a little bit more. So in our pilot, we were doing things where I was like flipping off of the stranger and doing all kinds of different things. Like that was really wild. And then that's the pilot. We took a long time to shoot the pilot, and then the rest of the episodes you don't have that much time. So it was a little bit less of that. But it was fun. I always enjoyed that aspect of it. I played sports as a kid. I did gymnastics when I was young, and so it was always like, yeah, all right, kind of put that to good use.
You're very naturally good at it. I feel like I was too because I was a dancer.
Yeah, dance is a huge, with fight scenes or anything like that. Choreography, just in general, it's like it helps to be able to count it out.
Hi.
Hi.
I wanted to ask if either of you, other than each other, had a favorite actor or actress to work with through the Arrowverse.
Everyone's awesome.
Yeah, I know.
I will always have a soft spot for Grant. He feels like a brother. We still see each other. Our kids play together. Like, he's a pal. He's a dweeb.
He would appreciate that comment. And I mean, if I had to pick, Bitsy was obviously, my ride or die on that, and so I think she was the heart of that show, and she did such a great job. So, I was very lucky to have her as my Lois.
I should also say my husband. Yeah, I sort of like him.
The crowd here will appreciate this. You keep mentioning Grant and how great he is to work with. You may recall we're in Salt Lake City, and Cat Grant describes the Flash as either a superhero. He's so mild-mannered that he's either a superhero or a Mormon. On that note.
Okay, I love you guys' work.
Thank you.
But I have a question for you, Tyler.
Yes.
What's the best scene you shot in Teen Wolf?
Oh! Wow. Speaking of crossover, all right, hey guys, what's up? Best scene I shot in Teen Wolf? Oh man. I don't know. I don't know the best scene. I know the one that I always like. If somebody asks me like, what's the scene that stands out to you the most? It's always the season 2 finale fight scene. Just because we spent like 3 nights in a row filming that, and we were so delirious by the end of it that we played a game that you had to option in. So this wasn't just random. Like you had to say like I'm in. We played a game where you would like try to sneak up on people and slap them on the back of the hamstring without them knowing, just to stay awake. I mean, we were shooting till like 8, 9 in the morning, 3 days in a row. We were all like trying to stay up. And so that one, just purely out of like the insanity of trying to get that scene done, always sticks out. But one that sticks out to me, like just like a memory, was season 4 when Derek says to Scott, he's like, "You're gonna be good at this." I don't know if you remember that scene, but like Liam does something and Scott kind of like rebukes him and like sends him away and puts him in timeout or something, and Derek just says, he's like, "You're gonna be good at this." And for me, I knew I was leaving the show, and so it was one of those weird like life is imitating art in the same kind of way. Like I knew I was leaving, and being able to say that to him is being like, "You're gonna be all right," was kind of like a cool scene. I always remember that one.
On the same note, speaking about Teen Wolf and relationships with castmates, I have to know, what was your relationship with Dylan O'Brien like, and what is it still like today?
Dylan is the absolute best. Dylan's the man. I remember seeing Dylan when we did the test. I knew he was really good, and then the very first day of shooting, I saw him and Posey do their first scene together, and I was like, the show's gonna work because they were so good together. But just as a person, he's so funny. We had so much fun. The only reason that I'm really good at not breaking during scenes is because of Dylan, because he's so funny, and I was not allowed to laugh ever on that show, that I had to find a way to find nobody funny ever. So that's all due to Dylan. But I haven't seen him in a minute. I chatted with him maybe, God, was that last year already? Time flies. But I was really bummed. I saw him and Posey together at his premiere. So I need to see him next time I'm in the same city. But he's the best.
Hi, my name's Liza, And I feel like we get a lot of questions about like what you guys have done in the past, but my question is, what's next for you guys? Like, where do you go from this, and like, what are your next projects?
I'm being a mom. That's not to say I'm not looking for what's next, but you know, I really am just enjoying hanging out with the coolest 5-year-old I've ever met, and he's like fully into Star Wars now, and it's really getting like juicy and fun. So, what? We're trying. Yeah, and I'm, you know, looking for the next fun thing. I was on a show last year called The Waterfront, and sadly we didn't get renewed, so we're seeing what's happening next.
I've been enjoying a nice break after 4 years in Vancouver. But I think we just announced a little film that's going to be coming up here soon. If anybody heard of It Happened One Summer? It's a book. Hey, well, okay, all right. So that's kind of like a next thing. And then beyond that, I kind of want to do stuff like in other areas as well. So I'm starting to do that, but not really talking about it yet. So we'll see. Someday. Who said Batman? That a boy. There you go. You guys keep that going. You keep that going. Let's go.
What is wrong with me today?
She's still doing the whole, like, I'm not Supergirl thing, you know? Like,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. My name is Devin, and my question is for both of you. Who, out of live action and animation, is your favorite Batman character? Or Batman?
Batman?
Michael Keaton. Just because I grew up with those, they were so formative, I feel like, for us 90s kids. He was so good. But Christian Bale's pretty incredible.
Yeah, Christian Bale's mine. He's just one of my favorite all-time actors. I think he's awesome. And Christopher Nolan, it's hard to beat. And then also just like the surrounding performances in those movies were amazing too. I mean, Liam Neeson and Cillian Murphy and Heath Ledger, obviously, just I think like, yeah, I mean, probably one of the greatest performances of all time. And Tom Hardy. I mean, there's so many people to go around. Anne Hathaway, like, all of those. But I think Christian to me was just like, I don't know. If I think of Batman, I think of Christian Bale. Yeah.
Hi, I'm
Hey, man.
Fade. What's your favorite character trait of the characters you portrayed?
I love how goofy Kara is. And it's, I don't know if you can tell, but it's sort of a departure from myself. I just had so much fun leaning into that, and that was what was so wonderful about Greg, and I think why he took the chance on me was that I was willing to like go there and make her really silly and goofy, and it made the switch between Kara and Supergirl all the more apparent and how different they were. Yeah, I liked that part.
I like how hopeful and optimistic he is. That was always my favorite thing about him. I think when I was young, I was like a romantic, and then I went through like a cynical phase in my 20s, and then I realized like, oh, it's you kind of like they're both right and they're both wrong constantly. So it's really which lens you want to look through, I think. And like the romantic view of things, I think, is just a lot more pleasant on a daily basis than the cynical one. So I left the cynical world behind, and I appreciate that about him as well. Because I think if anyone sees all the bad stuff but can still try to find hope for the future, it's him, and I appreciate that about him.
Hi, Tyler.
Hey, Zaffy.
Okay, what was my question? No, I know it. What was probably like the best, but like mess up that you guys did that you're just like, oh, I did that, and that's probably on camera somewhere.
Telling a story and then being dropped, is that?
I'm trying to think because there are too many. When do you guys remember when we did cloth magic? That was like a really funny phase, and it was where like our cape. We started doing like karate with our capes. So we'd be like, fwah, fwah, and like hit people with our capes, and it was mostly Chris and I, because he was like fully Mon-El at that we're in a suit and all the things, and there was a lot of like whipping ourselves with the capes, and they're heavy.
Yes.
It's like heavy leather, and that's all I can think of right now, because I don't know. Granny screaming on the wires. There's so many embarrassing moments on the show.
No, they are. The thing is, you have to realize that, so this wasn't like a mess up, but this is one time I always remember, she and I could not keep a straight face after every time they called cut. When I came back for the season 2 finale.
The big fight.
The big fight
That was
in front of
such
Terry
a fun
Hatcher.
night.
So fun. But we had to do the thing where like we had to do like the heat vision at each other. You guys understand that you only see that once it's on TV.
Yeah.
So we're just doing like a really intense staring contest.
Yeah.
Usually the camera's like 2 feet away from you and you're just looking out, and then they add it in later. We were like 30 feet apart. So she's on the other side of the room and the camera's wide. And we had to circle each other. There's no music. There's no music. There's no effects. It's just 2 people in capes and boots stomping around in front of 50 people, looking at each other really intensely.
I will say, I agree with you. Like they're not mess ups per se, but like every single day I would be like, this is not normal. The freeze breath, I felt the same way about freeze breath. And the superpower part of it, we both have like a catalog now, like if there weren't Viz effects and jumping off to fly.
If they
just
ever
come right back
release the
down.
footage of us without the VFX, oh my God. You've seen like the opening of Star Wars without all the sound effects and everything, right? Remember, have you guys seen that? A couple people? Yeah. It's like that. It's like that. So it's, yeah.
I'm going to ask a quick follow-up on that. You both mentioned capes and boots.
Yeah.
Favorite supersuit?
Favorite supersuit? I'm going to say I have a hot take. I was so grateful for the pants because it was really cold in Vancouver, but I missed the skirt. And I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a sucker for nostalgia. Like, I had that skirt suit for so long, like 4 seasons, that when I secretly took a suit when the show was done, I took the skirt suit. Don't tell anybody that I took it.
That's just between all 2,000 of
You didn't
us.
take it? He's lying.
That was a no. That was a no. It's an animate no. Mine was the Fleischer suit, actually. Like, yeah, like the throwback suit in the pilot. That was I think mainly because I only got to wear it like 4 or 5 times. So that one was kind of like the nostalgia of it was really cool.
Truthfully, I was going to say I hope that you would say that one.
Yeah.
This question is for both of you. Also, my name is Caleb. And my question was, if James Gunn were to ask you to return to play your versions of Supergirl and Superman for a multiversal crossover, would you be willing to? And also, who's your favorite Superman besides you, of course?
The first answer is of course. That'd be great. But the other one is, I mean, I've not seen the other versions. I'm so glad I was honest about that in the beginning, by the way, because that would have been a horrible lie to uphold this whole time. But I think I did see the documentary about Christopher Reeve, and I just think like what an epic human being. So I think I think it's fair to say Chris is and always will be the GOAT. So
Agree. He's my favorite. Although you're pretty great.
Oh, thanks.
And yes, the answer for me is also absolutely. Yeah, it would be so fun.
Hi, my name's Ingrid. My question is for Melissa. You're generally like one of the strongest women I know in and out of the show. And my question is, how is it knowing that you are such a role model for like so many women out there, and also justice for Bree Buckley?
Thank you for saying that. I feel like I didn't really start to recognize the effect until after. I think it's so much easier to see in retrospect and in hindsight, because when you're in it, you're working so hard and you're just trying to keep your head above water because it's a lot of pressure. These characters are so special and meaningful to so many people around the world that I just felt like I was trying not to mess it up. So now that I'm far enough away from it, I can really appreciate what I was able to do. And I have a kid who is now wising up that his mom is Supergirl, and y'all, I cried when he found out, because it hit me. It hit me that that's the generation that I always wanted to reach. I was always doing the show for young women, and in my heart. And I know my kid is a young man, but seeing the wonder in his eyes when he got to say my mom was a superhero, that was pretty special and unique, and that's not lost on me. So I don't know how it feels. It's pretty overwhelming. It feels really special.
Hi there. My name is Josh. I have a question for Melissa. So I loved you on Glee. Marley was great. We were so sad that your time was cut short, and that loved you in Supergirl, though. And I just have been doing a rewatch of the Arrowverse, and I just watched actually Super Friends just the other day. And I just Moon River was amazing, and it brought me back to those Glee times. I'm just wondering, is there a plan for you to do more music in the future? Because we would love that.
You cannot take the music theater out of a girl. So yes, the answer is and stage was my first love. Musicals were my first love. It was what I wanted to do before I even got the job on Glee. I was actively I wanted to be on Broadway. And so.
And you did?
I did. I did do that. And I would love to again. It's just a matter of finding the right project.
Hi, my question is for both of y'all. I was wondering if you have any advice for any boys or girls or men and women who are trying to follow in your footsteps as far as acting.
Man, it's getting this question 10 years ago, and it was always kind of I don't necessarily know first steps, because I feel like my way in was I got a random letter in the mail that was an invite to an audition for an acting school. Almost 30 years ago, no, 30 years ago now, jeez. Anyway, I was young, shut up, whatever. And so I was so random the way I got into it in the first place, but now the business has changed so much. You don't go in for castings anymore half the time, more than half the time. So it's just it's a whole new world. Honestly, it feels like everybody's kind of getting their start by putting up their own content places. That seems to be the quickest way to be getting your name out there and doing a thing. So I really wish I had better advice. I think, putting in the work in places, taking classes, or, trying to go and performing somewhere, finding people who can get you with a manager or an agent. That's always a first step. But I don't have a good answer for that. My answer for just good advice in general is commit to your ideas and the way you see things. The worst thing is to not get a job because you did what you thought they wanted and not what you wanted in the first place. Miss with your take. You know what I mean? You'd rather take your swing at something and miss than someone else's. That's my advice.
Yeah, that's really well said. And that's what I would say too, is just there's so much power in being yourself. and showing people who you are and your interpretation of things. Because I also like to think of going in every room and in every situation and every person that you meet, assume that they want you to succeed. Like they want you to do your best. So being yourself and staying true to who you are is going to help you do that.
Thank you, man.
My name is Jason. I just wanted to question for both of you is what's your favorite line from the Supergirl TV show?
I don't know if I can remember.
Okay, this is the only one that's coming to mind right now is when I looked at you and said, up, up.
And what did I say? And away?
And away.
I mean, there's so many. Something that I really enjoyed doing was the monologue about hope in season 1. I could not remember any of it if you asked me right now, but I remember really loving that monologue. I thought it was really well written.
Actually, this is such a random one. There was in the crossovers, I want to say it was in Crisis. You remember like when I get shrunk down? There's like a mini tiny, wasn't there? No. Am I not remembering that right? Yeah, right? There's like a little like I'm shrunk down. There's like a little mini, it's like a Tinkerbell sized Superman. And everybody's like, where's Clark? And I'd be like, I'm right here. Like, you not remember this?
No,
I only remember it because I totally channeled Jason Alexander when he guest starred on Friends. So like, if you guys remember, I don't know if anybody watched that episode, but there's an episode where Jason Alexander guest stars in Friends, and like Phoebe goes in to find him, and she's like, is there so-and-so working here? And they're like, I don't know if I know that person. And he's like, I'm right here. And I was just like, I just always thought it was so great. Anyway, that's the only other one that comes to mind right now.
You don't remember that? No. Tinkerbell.
Everyone's full size on the ship in Legends, and I'm just like a little floating.
I really need to rewatch
Yeah.
All right, so as every show has its ups and downs, are there any like plot lines you felt were a little silly, or like is there anything you would change?
There's scenes that were in the rain that I wish would have been dry.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
Totally.
that's usually what you wish you could change.
Yeah.
Although I actually threw me and Michael Cudlitz under the bus. There was a season 4 of Superman and Lois, the fight scene with Lex and Clark in the street with the red lights. Thank you. That was supposed to be a dry day, and I actually am the one who was like, I think there should be rain. And
So you had a rain machine on a dry day in Vancouver?
Yeah, we did. We added rain towers. We did. But everybody agreed. We all when we read it, were like, it's in the rain. Obviously it's in the rain, of course. And they're like, no, we're not going to do it in the rain. And I was like, oh, okay. And our stunt coordinator was like, you think it should be in the rain? I was like, I kind of think it should be in the rain. And so
it always looks better in the rain.
It did.
Really
So I was glad. It was a very cold night. But it was worth it.
I don't think I would have changed anything about the show. I don't think I would have. Even when we got silly, I was just game. Yeah. I was game for everything. Like I just was so happy to be there. I don't think I would have changed anything.
All right, cool. I didn't know when to start talking.
Are you good?
Also, she made that, by the way. We were talking.
You look
about
great.
She made that. Okay. Just gonna start off by saying you give hope to a lot of people, and I really appreciate that. You guys have been my favorite super people, and you've like inspired a lot of people, and we appreciate that. I feel everyone here appreciates that. And then my question is, other than crypto, because that's the obvious answer, who are your favorite super pets?
What's the cat's name? Yeah. Our Streaky was not cooperative. And I was like the one pushing for that because I was like, this is so fun. Like, yes, it makes so much sense. Let's get the cat. And then we had the cat. And I was like, never mind.
Yeah, I don't think, we had Streaky for like 2 seconds. Well, no, because it was in Bizarro World, so I'm not sure if it would have technically been. But yeah, we just kind of had Crypto at the end. It was like that was our one little run with it. And I'm so sorry, our dog was wonderful. Our dog was great.
The dogs are.
I know.
Are.
We actually it was really funny when we were shooting the finale. Spoiler: there's an I'm not gonna say that. There's an incident where Clark falls to the ground. Right. And so when we were shooting that scene, the very first time we shot it, this was the sweetest dog of all time. I fell to the ground, and it immediately, I'd met it 30 seconds before this. It immediately ran up to me and started licking my face and like nudging me to make sure I was okay. Because the dog doesn't know that we're pretending. So it was just like the most concerned concerned thing. Like, it was amazing. It was like
poor dog.
the sweetest. I know. It was like going through like a full-on panic, like wondering if I was okay. And then like after like take 12, it was like, whatever, you're faking it. I don't care anymore.
All right, last question.
Hi, Marissa.
Hi.
I'm a huge fan. I love you so much. But my question for you is, when you had thought Bizarra as you, what was it like when you had thought her?
When you fought Bizarro?
Bizarro in season 1?
Yeah, as you.
Gosh, that was a really... I remember it being a tough fight scene because she had lots of prosthetics and makeup, and but it was the first time we kind of got to do a scene like that. So it was exciting. But yeah, I remember it being a more difficult day, especially because we were still getting our sea legs in season 1. But it felt cool.
All right. Couple weeks. It's the 10th anniversary of the premiere of Supergirl.
Whoa.
I'm shook.
Sorry, I'll see myself out.
I can't believe that.
We live in really challenging times, and I want to know if there's anything personally that either of you took from your heroic characters that has inspired you now 10 years later.
Personally, for me, it's the optimism. It's the optimism. Like, yes, things are challenging, but it's not the first time. I think that kind of gets lost sometimes. I think it's a lot of times the messaging is like these are really challenging times, as if we've never been in them before. Like there's been challenging times all the time. There's always a challenge going on somewhere. So we've come through it before. Go through it again. I think that's the whole idea, is that it's persistence. It's not, there's no winning. You know what I mean? We're never gonna get to a point where it's like, oh, good, so we've fixed all of it. Like, it's constantly evolving, it's constantly changing. So we're gonna have to figure it out. And even if everything was perfect tomorrow, in a certain amount of time, it would not be again, and we have to fix it again. So the optimism is that we've done it before, we'll do it again, and that's just kind of how I continue to look at things. So I think that's how he would look at it.
Yeah. Well said. I think for me, like, the motto of hope, help, and compassion couldn't be more relevant. And it's even more important today than it was when we first started making the show. We had a different president in season 1 of Supergirl, and now I think when things are very dark like that, I always still think of hope, help, and compassion, and also like really taught me how important it is to me what I put out in the world as an artist. I want it to be, we need joy, we need optimism, we need hope, I think what was so special about the Arrowverse is, yes, it was a place for people to escape, but like the messaging was so beautiful and inclusive. So it really taught me that I'm much more careful now about what I say yes to doing and the art that I want to create and what I'm putting out there.
Wonderful, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Tyler Hoechlin and Melissa Benoist.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.